The Lakers get a 128-121 win over the Grizzlies and reinforce a blueprint for winning while shorthanded and offsetting their inherent weaknesses. A lot of guys got to be stars in their role, and you got to control the controllables. That's all coming up on Locked On Lakers.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And thanks for making Locked On Lakers your first listen every day, sometimes on weekends, wherever you get your podcasts. It's always going to be free. It's never going to be behind a paywall. However you are taking in Locked On Lakers, whether audio via Apple, via Spotify, or if you're watching on YouTube, a community of 37,000 plus subscribers, part of a very active comment section on the YouTube page. Thank you for making the Locked On Podcast Network the number one, boom, sports podcasting network anywhere. It is hugely appreciated. Also, make sure you are subscribed. This is super important, whether on audio, whether on YouTube, preferably both, because that way you will never miss an episode, because we occasionally have some special episodes, have some news reactions pop up, or we sometimes go on weekends. Won't be a full show tonight, but it will be a reaction to this game. I'm Andy Kamenetzky, co-host of the Locked On Lakers podcast, along with my brother Brian, who has the night off, a buddy of his from childhood in town. Shout out to Michael, last name redacted. So they are out tonight, but Brian and I have covered the Lakers for about 20 years for outlets including ESPN, the LA Times, The Athletic, 710 ESPN Radio in Los Angeles, where, by the way, I host my weekly Lakers show, Lakers Talk, again on 710 ESPN. And this was a game where the Lakers had a lot of strong individual performances. Luka Doncic, 34 points, 8 of 18 from the field, 1 of 7 from behind the arc. The three-point shot just not falling for Luka over the last few weeks, but got to the line 20 times, made 17 of them, 6 rebounds, 8 assists, 6 turnovers. Talk a little bit about that with him and LeBron and Marcus Smart at times not taking as good of care of the ball as they should have needed to, but also 2 steals for Luka, and a game where, as things went along, Luka increasingly began just putting his stamp and control over the game. He was absolutely relentless in terms of getting himself to the foul line, just putting Memphis on its heels. And like LeBron, who I'm going to talk about in just a second, when the Lakers needed big plays, Luka made a lot of them. LeBron, 31 points, 12 of 18 from the field, got to the line 6 times, made all 6 of them, 9 assists, 9 assists, 6 rebounds, 4 turnovers. Again, like Luka, couple passes that LeBron would like to have back, couple mishandles. A game where LeBron, for a lot of the first half, was actually really having trouble hanging on to the ball. But from start to finish, LeBron was just really lively. I thought on both sides of the ball. I thought he was exercising great control over the game. There was a lot of times in this game where the Lakers really needed something to happen, and LeBron was timely. He closed the second half with 6 straight points down the stretch of the game. He made a lot of really big plays. So 65 combined points from Luka and LeBron. A night where the stars were stars, as the Lakers are shorthanded. No Austin Reeves, no Rui Hachimura, no Gabe Vincent, Adu Thero now on the injured list. So not a lot of options for the Lakers right now. They need Luka and LeBron to play like stars, and those guys did. They got a huge third guy performance from Jake LaRavia, 21 points. He had 11 in the first quarter, 15 in the first half, 8 of 12 from the field, hit 3 threes, 9 rebounds, 4 on the offensive glass, 2 steals and a block. Brian and I have talked about over the last few weeks, like Jake's, I don't think he's played badly, but as the Lakers have been missing players, they have often needed more counting stat performances. And that's not typically what Jake does. He is more of a crack filler, more of, filling in the cracks in terms of the little things, the defense. He, offensive rebounds, all sorts of stuff. But scoring isn't necessarily something you can count on from Jake. But this was a night where the Lakers needed it, and he stepped up. Marcus Smart, 13 points, 5 of 9 from the field, hit 3 threes himself. Came close to a triple-double, 8 assists, 7 rebounds, 4 turnovers, like everyone else. There needs to be a moratorium, I will just say right now, on hit-ahead lob attempts from basically everybody on this team. 8 rebounds, 7 assists for Marcus to go along with 4 turnovers. Just knock it off. Like, everybody, knock it off. If you want to try a lob from half court, fine. These hit-ahead lobs have got to stop. And Marcus attempted a few of them. Like, he eventually completed a lob, I want to say to Jaxson Hayes, and I was like, I hope this is out of his system. But the offense was really key for Marcus Smart tonight, and he made, as you've come to expect from Marcus Smart, a lot of timely, disruptive defensive plays. And then Jaxson Hayes, 12 points off the bench, 5 of 6 from the field, 2 steals and a block. His energy, particularly in the second half of this game, JJ opted to largely close with him, and he was asked about it after the game, and he just said Jackson played better than DeAndre Ayton. It's been a quiet last handful of games from DeAndre Ayton, something if you get a chance to ask JJ about, I'd like to over the next couple of days. Ayton has been shrinking a bit, and it's interesting, as Austin and Rui are both not there, you would think this would lead to bigger production just organically from DeAndre Ayton, simply because the opportunities would be there, and that just has not been the case. But Jaxson Hayes, really big in this game. And when I mentioned at the top of the show, like the stars and also a few other guys were stars in their role, and the Lakers had those great individual performances. But this was also a game that reinforced a point that I've been hitting on a lot over the last couple weeks, whether we're talking in reaction to games the Lakers have lost, or just the last couple of shows where Brian and I were talking about the Lakers trying to land on an identity, which I think has been difficult in part because of roster limitations, in part because of, I think, frankly, at times, style of play, and not even trying to do something clear and coherent with the players that they have, especially offensively, and also some of the decisions and approaches defensively. But also, too, just this period with players in and out of the lineup. It is difficult to land on an identity when you're constantly shuffling the lineup. The Lakers have had 17 different starting lineups in, like, it's now 32 games. That's an enormous amount of change. But during this period, one of the things that I've talked about is just the concept of the Lakers needing to control the controllables. And whether you are talking about execution or whether you are talking about energy, focus, hustle, a determination to play the best defense possible, a desire and a focus to control the avoidable mistakes. You're going to make mistakes over the course of a game. You're going to occasionally make bad decisions, but the Lakers are not in a position where they can afford bad decisions. And at times in this game, like we saw, they built up at one point a 15-point lead in the first half, and the Lakers were doing, I thought, some regrettable decisions here and there, but for the most part, I thought they were doing a very good job avoiding the avoidable mistakes. But then Memphis got into the game in the second half via an 18-0 run that was fueled in very large part by, stop me if you've heard this before, Lakers turnovers, many of them just bad decisions, bad shot selection, particularly with three-pointers, that will put the Lakers in a bad position defensively in transition, where they remain not very good. That's how Memphis ultimately got back into this game. And from there, it was a back and forth battle. But when the Lakers put their mind to making good decisions, to focusing on what they can control, to being patient, to trying to be as methodical as they can be, this version of themselves where, again, shorthanded, and that is going to create inherent problems. But when they do that, I'm not going to say they can consistently be an elite team because we haven't seen the evidence of it. We have not seen any evidence of this team being elite this season, period. But they can be a good team. When they do those things, they can be a good team. And some nights, even against some of the best competition in the league, they can stack up against them. They can make a game out of it. They can actually find ways to win, but it's got to be in a lot of ways them controlling the controllables. So get into a little bit more of that and some of the highlights that I thought in this game in terms of the things the Lakers did really well. Get into that coming up next. Locked on Lakers is brought to you by FanDuel. Fridays like tonight already feel different. During basketball season, FanDuel's making them even better. Every Friday night before the games tip off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame, a limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. Fridays from 6 to 7:30 Eastern time in the evenings have become appointment viewing with NBA Happy Hour. Opening the FanDuel app during Happy Hour always brings you something new, boosts, bonuses, surprises. It's easy to check the weekly special before the tip-off and to make a move right before the window closes. So before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. A little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. So, like I mentioned earlier in the show, the Lakers at times became their own worst enemy. They had 20 turnovers in this game, which Memphis turned into 27 points. They had some runouts off Laker misses, some of them regrettable shots. This is something that the Lakers are simply just going to have to be as judicious as possible. But there are also a lot of sequences in this game, and that would be expected given that LeBron had 6 assists, Luka had 8, Marcus Smart had 7, where you just saw terrific both decisions with the ball and also execution. Like both LeBron and Luka had sequences where they drew doubles at the 3-point line and waited for both of those defenders to be close enough to be exactly where they needed. And they threw behind the back passes, each one of them, to Nick Smith Jr. at the top of the arc. Nick Smith buried both of those shots. And throughout this game, I thought both Luka and LeBron did a really good job like negotiating when Memphis decided to put 2 on the ball against them. I thought they both were, for the most part, really patient. They read the floor extremely well. There were both of them had sequences where they directly set up Jake for shots in the lane, just from allowing those doubles to come over, being patient, surveying the floor, and just hitting pinpoint precision passes. And again, this was a great example of Luka and LeBron being patient about this. It's something I've talked about a lot during this season. One of the reasons that I even accounting for the guys who have been missing, Austin and Rui in particular, and the effect on the offense, when the Lakers have been at full strength, I don't think they've often just been methodical and patient and purposeful enough, intentional enough with the way they run an offense anyway. Like they have not been operating in a way that would, especially over the last month or so, and JJ acknowledged this, LeBron's return has it's muddled things in a way that isn't, I don't mean this as a criticism of LeBron necessarily. It's created another wrinkle that they haven't quite figured out what to do with. And the offense has not been anywhere close to elite. Tonight was a night where Luka and LeBron just both made really good decisions that led to the Lakers shooting 58% from the field, 34% from behind the arc. They got to the line 31 times and made 27 of them. A lot of that was Luka, but just they led the rebounding battle in this game. They ultimately outscored Memphis 68-60 in the paint. It's too many paint points for Memphis, but nonetheless, the Lakers got a lot of those on their own. Another example of a great decision by Luka that I want to highlight because this was critical. Late in the fourth quarter, during a possession that began with a near turnover and then scrambled ball movement, Luka, short shot clock, could have settled for a three on a night where his three was not falling. He could have forced something, but instead he drove, he sucked in the defense, and then he kicked out to Jake LaRavia, who hit a three, put the Lakers up 7 with about 2.5 minutes in the game. And this is Luka's game. Like, he ended up finishing 8 of 18 from the field, which is not perfect efficiency, but it's not bad either. At one point, he was 4 of 12 from the field. And like, this was a night where things began, shots were not falling for Luka, particularly again from behind the arc, but he kept at it. Like, he kept driving, got himself to the line. He put Memphis's defense on its heels. He drew fouls, finished almost 50% from the field when it was all said and done. And I just thought this was a night where, as things went along, I thought Luka did a really good job of avoiding things that could have boiled over into frustration that led to bad decisions. And I thought as the game went along, Luka did a really good job of controlling that. And again, like I mentioned before, LeBron's control of this game, other than a few bad passes and at times just inexplicably kind of having difficulty hanging on to the ball, LeBron had a lot of control over this game. And again, both of them were huge. And then there were just a lot of big ass energy plays in this game, man. Like, from the top, and this maybe set a tone, Marcus Smart dives to the ground for a loose ball after LeBron had gotten a one-handed rebound in traffic, but he couldn't hang on to it. And Marcus dives to the floor, gets the ball to LeBron. It sets up a transition layup for LeBron. There was an incredible play Jaxson Hayes made defensively. He jumped on a Christian Koloko up fake around the rim, but then tied Koloko up on the second jump, and he forced a jump ball. And it was an incredible play. He also, an offensive energy play. He had this running dunk in the fourth quarter that brought the house down. It forced a Memphis timeout, put the Lakers up a point, 109-108. And it was also, quite frankly, Jaxson Hayes avenging his testicles in this game, because the man got hit at least twice in like just audacious fashion. I mean, like, he was down for a while, like Billy and Stu couldn't even avoid the elephant in the room. Like, just man's getting hit in the nards, and like it's pretty blatant. It felt like he was throwing down on behalf of the Jewels, and it was a big night for Jaxson, particularly in the second half. I thought he did a lot just through energy. I mentioned DeAndre Ayton been kind of absent, but he had a couple, I thought, really good plays in the second half where he got back in transition and challenged shots. Like, it prevented Memphis from getting pretty easy scores. And in both of those, at least a couple of those cases, that directly led to the Lakers scoring on the other end. In the fourth quarter, there was a stretch where Marcus Smart poked the ball away from Jock Landale as Landale was trying to post him up. And later on, he got a deflection that led to a second chance corner three for newly designated sharpshooter Jared Vanderbilt. Go figure. But like, and I mentioned Jake LaRavia had 4 offensive rebounds in this game. That does not happen without hustle. And just everybody, I thought, in this game, like everybody who got the regular rotation minutes, they were playing hard. Like, there were not many sequences in this game, even the ones where the Lakers screwed up something that they should have been able to handle better. There was not much in this game where I was like, guys, come on, man, get back. Guys, come on, put in the effort. So this was a really good game for the Lakers. They remain undefeated in clutch situations. I always bring up that they are undefeated in losing by double digits. So I want to be fair. They are also undefeated in clutch situations. So they're managing to, when games are close, pull out wins. And it's really huge. They are now 21-11, 10 games above 500, despite a lot of adversity. It's not been a perfect season. There is a lot that they need to fix, some of which I'm not even sure is fixable. But bottom line is, 10 games over 500. They're having a successful season by any reasonable definition so far, even if at times it is a frustrating, maddening season. I appreciate everybody being here tonight. Obviously, we will be back, Brian included, for Sunday's reaction. They play the Grizzlies again at home. Unusual, but, it could be worse scheduling quirks than 2 games in a row at home against the same opponent. They actually can prepare pretty well while also not having to leave LA. Again, make sure that you are subscribing to Locked On Lakers, whether audio, whether YouTube, both. Appreciate everybody being here. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we will talk to you all on Sunday.